The Marvel Cross Magic Secret Lair Super Drop happens on November 4th, and up before that point, we are going through all 5 of the Secret Lairs and looking at them from a value perspective as well as the reprints. Today, we're looking at Captain America First Avenger. Let's take a look at the cards and the breakdown and see whether or not it's worth it for you to buy. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the video. Thank you so much for being here. Be sure to hit that like button if you do enjoy. Click the bell icon if you want to be notified when new videos are posted, and then go ahead and subscribe to the channel to be up to date with all the newest videos. Now, we did a video the other day talking about Wolverine Secret Lair, which I gave a grade of an A. You can check it out for the full breakdown. I do think that one has some extremely good value. I also posted a deck profile for the Wolverine deck if you're interested in checking that out. I will say at some point I'm hoping to do deck profiles for all 5 of these as a big Marvel fan, but you'll have to subscribe to the channel to see when those are posted, because they do take some time, and there hasn't exactly been much to work with in terms of actual ways to playtest some of this stuff yet, so we'll talk about that in a future video. But we're going to keep going through here, and this Captain America First Avenger is definitely my favorite of the 5. I do think it's just got a really unique effect that also feels thematically appropriate. We did discuss these a while back, but we'll go over the effect on this one just to do a quick recap for anyone who maybe missed it. It is a red, white, blue, of course, legendary creature, human, soldier, hero, with 2 abilities. The first one is Throw. You pay 3, unattach an equipment from Captain America. He deals damage equal to that equipment's mana value, divided as you choose among 1, 2, or 3 targets, and then has Catch at the beginning of combat on your turn. Attach up to 1 target equipment you control to Captain America. Now, I love myself a good equipment commander, and obviously red and white are some of the best color combinations for that, but blue certainly helps here in various ways, giving us some additional power cards, things like Cyclonic Rift and, you know, Fierce Guardianship that'll be extremely useful in this deck if you're you know, not taking budgetary restraints into consideration. I do think this Captain America artwork looks awesome, and I think of the 5 will probably be the best right off the bat. However, I don't know if it'll be the first one to sell out, simply because some of the value here is not quite as strong as Wolverine. But as far as an estimate for Captain America himself, I see right now the only listing here is $25. That's just a placeholder price, I think. So much of this depends on whether or not these are all going to sell out really fast, or if there's actually a fair-ish chance to get them. Obviously, a lot of things up in the air in that regard, so we'll have to kind of see how it all shakes out. But I am very much excited for this card. The value, though, of course, you know, is going to be determined also by the reprint inclusions, and the first one we've got here is going to be Captain America's Aid, which is a reskin of Sigarda's Aid, a very, very good card. The most recent Secret Lair variant of it was actually in the Angel deck, the full deck. That's around $25. Now, that's a different circumstance because that deck was expensive, so some of the bigger cards in that deck are definitely going to hold more value, but just, you know, to give you an idea of kind of where it's at, other versions of the card from Commander Legends around $7, and then from Eldritch Moon around $8. It's a really, really strong card for equipment decks, arguably one of the best ones, especially because whenever an equipment enters, you can basically cheat past the mana cost and just equip it to something, which is just a super powerful thing to have access to. And being able to cast auras and equipments with Flash is certainly not bad either. You'll see where all of these things kind of work really well with Captain America, and there are some really powerful equipment like Colossus Hammer, for example, that's a 1-drop, but of course it costs 8 to equip, and you can bypass Colossus Hammer with a card like this, and then even, you know, with Captain America also being able to equip himself with Colossus Hammer with his secondary effect. So obviously what we're going to want to do is bring out some equipments with higher mana value and equip them to Captain America, and then detach them to deal damage, and then re-equip him with something else. The combo lines are not super complex, but there's a lot of different ways in which you can take it. This is a good card. Definitely appreciate the reprint. It's been a couple of years since it's had one in any type of like real value reprint, and yeah, it's just a good card. It's a nice kind of mid-range card option. Flawless Maneuver, of course, we just saw Fierce Guardianship get a reprint in one of the other Secret Lairs. This is a really good card. One of the cheaper ones in terms of value of the free cast commander cycle, but gives all your creatures indestructible till end of turn, and you can cast it for free if you control your commander. So obviously it's a really good card. It's about $10, give or take. It's been reprinted a couple of times in a few commander decks, and then it was in Commander Masters. Not the most widely available, though. I think we're looking at this one probably becoming the most expensive variant, with the exception of the Commander Masters Bordeaux one, which I like quite a lot. But again, it's the Secret Lair, it's Marvel. I think there's, you know, everything in me says that it's likely going to end up being really expensive. I just don't know how it's all going to shake out, but I do think it's a good inclusion. These free cast commander spells are always going to be good reprints, in my opinion. Hopefully we'll get Deadly Rollick and, Deflecting SWAT at some point soon as well, maybe in a future Secret Lair product. but I'm happy with it. It's not a huge value card, but it's still, you know, a couple $10 cards is nice. In the trenches, creatures you control get +1/+1, and then you can pay 6, exile a non-land permanent you don't control until this enchantment leaves the battlefield, activate only once, and as a sorcery. This card was in Brothers War. It's very inexpensive. It's like less than $1. I understand why it's there in terms of the reprint, but I don't necessarily think that it's the best value choice. And honestly, like we saw with the Wolverine Secret Lair, even the worst card in there was like a $3 to $4 card that actually has some use in a lot of different formats. So I'm a little bit disappointed by this one, although the art itself does look really cool. Just, I think when you're asking people to spend a premium and there's going to be so much hype on this, perhaps you step it up a little bit and include something a little bit higher value. And then we've got Sword of War and Peace, which is a Shield of War and Peace, sorry, which is a reskin of Sword of War and Peace. Creature gets +2/+2 and has protection from red and white. Whenever it deals damage to a player, this equipment deals damage to that player equal to the number of cards in their hand, and you gain a life for each card in your hand. So nice to be able to deal some extra damage, and it's decent enough in terms of the protection that it offers. My biggest complaint about this card, I mean, it's been reprinted a few times here, but not super crazy. Obviously, it was reprinted in the list. It was in Double Masters, and then it was, you know, some premium version in Kaladesh way back. But I think of all the swords, you know, this one is probably one of the weaker ones that actually could have been included here. I think a card like Feast and Famine, or even Fire and Ice perhaps, might have been a better inclusion. I understand War and Peace thematically makes the most sense here, but the biggest problem for me with this Secret Lair, when you look at all the cards that are included, is that there is not a single card that is worth over $10 before reprint. And obviously a lot of it can come down to art. You're going to have a lot of people buying this just because they want the Marvel stuff, but looking at the first one that we looked at with Wolverine, there was one card that's almost $40 and there's another card that's like 25. The value was just really, really strong. And this one, unfortunately, does not feel like it measures up in that regard. Not to say the reprints aren't good and some of the art isn't cool, and Captain America himself could very well end up being the best performer out of this Secret Lair, just because maybe, you know, being a mechanically unique card to this Secret Lair, if it sees a lot of play, there will be demand for it. But I think overall, I have to say I'm going to give this one a grade of a C+. I don't know if that's, you know, too harsh, but I feel like, you know, if you're spending $40 on this and you're not even getting, you know, a quote-unquote guaranteed $40 worth of singles just based on like the cheapest available options on the secondary market, I just don't think that's a great thing from a value standpoint. I would say, in theory, like if you really like the cards, just buy them singles, but then again, because of the way these like limited run sort of selling out price spike type things go, it's very likely that the total sum of the cards will actually end up costing you more as singles than if you get this at retail price, which is $40 or $50 respectively. At the end of the day, though, I mean, it's still a cool product. It's nice to see that it's there, and perhaps some of the other ones will perform a little bit better. But I'm not super impressed by this one in terms of its content and breakdown. I do think they could have done a little bit of a better job, but that's just my opinion. So let me know what you guys think, and of course, make sure you do your own research before making any purchases. I'm just kind of giving my take on it, but I understand that everybody's going to have different preferences and parameters on what they consider to be good or bad for a product. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.